morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time you're watching this. As always, thanks for watching Common Sense Fishing. So, welcome to today's live stream. Welcome back, everybody. Things are starting to slow down just a little bit work wise. So, now I have some time to breathe. I'm going to go ahead and get some fishing trips in. So, I'm excited. I'm going tomorrow. Getting kind of burned out. It's been like about, I'd say, almost 2 months without a day off, other than taking my kids out to Oklahoma or to New Mexico to go to their mom's house for the summer. And my daughter's going to stay there. My son's coming back. But, which, was just 4 days straight of driving pretty much with one day of relaxation. And it was kind of bittersweet. So it wasn't really a day off, let's say. But yeah, it's been crazy. So work's just, man, I haven't been able to do much fishing, but I'm super excited. I'm going to be going out to the California Delta. It's hot out here. Temps are starting to cool off. We're getting some cloud cover coming in occasionally while it's still in the 90s. So it's not 105 anymore, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting out there. I'm probably just going to stick again. I'm going to go over my game plan for the California Delta, break it down for you guys who haven't maybe heard it before. For those of you who've had, you know what it'll be. I do some occasional mixing of up, but I've caught so many big fish over 8 pounds, 7 pounds, 8 and 9, and then double digits. I've also got lots of fives and sixes, and there's a lot of different things that all of the big fish usually kind of came similar conditions as far as like what lures and where and how. Um, they've been kind of sprinkled out, but at the Delta, I mean, they're pretty consistently the monsters for me have almost all been on either a square bill or some kind of bottom bouncer like a Cinco. And fishing certain key structure has just been uh, key for big fish, and then going out and when you fish the actual wide open, all the delta and all the craziness, breaking down spots is tricky because sometimes you can just cover shoreline and catch fish. Sometimes they're only going to be on key areas. So I love the delta. It's a real tricky fun place to fish, but in my opinion most of the year you could probably decide. So you can take and say, you know what, I'm going to go to the delta, I'm going to throw top water, and I'd say you're going to do good so many percent of the times, 50% or 60 or whatever it happens to be. But there's going to be times where you don't catch any fish or it's real tough. You can go and you can throw drop shots and catch fish all day, but probably have a hard time catching many fish over 4 or 5 pounds if all you do is finesse fish the delta. If all you do is power fish, maybe you catch big fish, but just not a lot of numbers. But the square bill to me has been like that perfect happy medium where it's like almost a swim bait. It's a hard lure, 2.5 inches long. So it's like this, nothing big, a worm's bigger, right? But get you started, throwing some reaction, something with some treble hooks, learning how to work it and use it. You can throw swim baits, jerk baits, all kinds of stuff. But that square bill is just so damn versatile, and it gets every fish from the 10-inch fish to the 10-pound bass. And so the square bill has just for me been such a key tool to my success at the Delta. And when they're not hitting the square bill and they don't want something moving, when they don't want something smashing by, then the Cinco. So between those two, it's like there's almost never a need for anything else. Because yeah, there's times, except for when the fish are in mats and underneath the vegetation, when you need to punch or throw a frog, that's super important because there are lots of times and places where there'll be tons of big fish, but they're just not where you might think they are. They're sitting under, what looks to be impenetrable goop, but really it's just the upper 6, 8 inches, or foot or whatever, and underneath for 3 or 4 feet is nice clear water, and there's a big fish under there. Right, so punching can be a good way to get some big bass, and I will do that. I will throw frogs over mats, and I will punch into all kinds of different crap. And but other than that, when I'm fishing, I mean, I can almost just exclusively use those two lures. Although I don't, there's times I throw the LV, I throw the jerk bait, I throw the spinner bait, I throw all kinds of different stuff there. You see all kinds of videos of me at the Delta throwing all kinds of stuff. Got a video of my son catching like a 3.5 pounder on a chatterbait at the Delta. So, um, I love fishing the Delta, but a square bill is pretty much my go-to for there. A square bill and a Cinco, and that's pretty much what I'm going to do. So I'm definitely open and receptive to doing other things, but my idea is just get out there, go find some active, aggressive feeding summer fish, go find where they can pin the bait fish, where there's going to be some deep water. So my summertime secrets for the Delta are going to be find where there's some deep water nearby, and then find the shallows or structure that's near that, because the fish will cruise in and out. So they don't want to just live and constantly be in 6 foot, 8 foot deep when it's 100 outside, 90 degrees, the water temp's just super warm, oxygen content may not be the greatest. So I think those fish are usually going to be in deeper water some of the time, and then they're going to come up and in and out, and they're going to stage. Hey, what's going on, Misha? How's it going? So they're gonna come up, and they're gonna come in and out, and they'll stage up along certain spots. Key points, ambush points, Thule points, docks, all kinds of different things. The Delta has so much structure, how to know what to fish. As a matter of fact, I've still got the white bear, so if you guys want, I'll pick it up and I'll show you how I kind of key in and hone in on structure and break it down. And there's certain stuff that'll catch my eye that I will hone in on and fish it more um, thoroughly, while others I will fish it, but maybe only so many casts or so many techniques, right? And I'm looking for little spots on the spot, because the Delta, every little hole could hold a giant bass, it seems like. And it's kind of true, actually. There's just so much riprap, so much tules, so much stuff and debris at any given time and place. There could be, if there's a school, a bait fish passing by that particular spot at that moment, that might be where a big fat bass is going to set up to ambush, right? So I've got big fish all throughout the Delta, but key places that hold big fish more often are going to be boat ramps, launches where fishes are returned and dropped off after tournaments, and also where natural fish who haven't been caught can come in and hide in underneath docks, under slips. Bait fish is attracted because there's all this electricity, light, warmth. There's the light at night. All the boat lights attract bait fish, which attract the smaller stuff like the bluegill and the crappie. So the bigger fish like the bass come in. So a dock is a haven of life for fish at night, and even during the daytime too, right? So it's a great place to find feeding bass, and just bass that may be also just hanging out, relaxing, and you can get them to come out and attack a lure by fishing shade lines, dock lines, fishing real tight to stuff. And you can get something that may not have bit something to come out and hit it, or throw a Cinco down there and have it slow sink in its face. You might feel that little tap. Would be a monster, right? Or run your square bill near it, boom, get hammered as the fish comes out at it. So the Delta's been pretty consistently good for me. Like I said, it ramps, docks, at big riprap rock area, weed edges, like where you have big old weed patches. The edges of those weed patches, it seems like those big old giant groups of weeds will hold some nice fish. Instead of punching directly into them, I'll go around them. So it depends. If it's only one side, I'll fish one side. If it's kind of out in the middle, I'll fish both sides of it. But you fish the weed edges, because the fish will sit in those weeds facing out. So there's a weed edge right here. Let's just say right here. The fish will be in the weeds with its nose poked just out, kind of just looking out into the open. And then when something comes by, boom, comes out and hammers it. And then there'll also be those areas where there's patches of weeds and then some blank spots in between. You can run your crankbait in through those And instead of running into those weed patches, you pay attention for them and you can see them, especially with some nice polarized glasses. Then you can use those lanes and fish in between the weeds. And the fish that are sitting around them, behind them, they'll come out and attack. And you can also get even more in depth and look at the sun, look at what angle it's hitting that pile, and then try to think that the fish is most likely going to be positioned on the shade side. So if you see some open water in a dark patch, a plume of some hydrilla or some weeds, and there's some open area, maybe more weeds around it, you get a chance to run your lure by it. Let's say there's two areas. Well, how do you know which one to throw your lure in first? Say the sun's on this side, the weed patch is right here. The shade side is going to be over here. So take your lure, cast it past the patch, and bring it right through that shade. And that bass will be hanging somewhere near or in that shade. They don't like the light too much. I mean, they'll be right out there in the open in a foot of water with the sunlight, so they don't mind it. But they'll like to hang out in those kind of positions because it provides them optimal ambush and feeding opportunities. So I'm stoked to go to the Delta. I'm super excited. Haven't been fishing in a minute, so it's like, damn, man, I can't wait. So hopefully it's going to be a good day. I'm going to set all the GoPros up, get them all ready, get all my batteries charged, get all my memory cards hooked up and checked out. And then I'm going to record it. We're going to do some videos from the Delta. I'm going to sit down probably for an hour or two and do some tutorials on how to top water fish the Delta, frog fish it, how to throw poppers at the Delta, and how to use a pop as a key location bait where you're targeting structure or a location and you're not covering water. A popper is not a covering water lure, or it usually isn't. It can be, and it's been used to great effect for that speed popping and stuff like that with like a pop R. But anyways, poppers are usually for fishing key certain areas, while things like buzz baits are meant for covering water, but also for covering water that has some vegetation or some things that buzz bait might bump into for a brief moment and bump it and then keep going about its way. And it doesn't interfere with the blades too much, doesn't get snagged up in it. While if you're using something like a walking bait, a whopper, plopper, something like that, your treble hooks are going to stick into those weeds, and then now you're screwed, right? So knowing what top water to throw where, we'll probably do some kind of videos like that, break that down, show you some tips and tricks on like what gear I'm using, what line and why, and then some of my reasoning behind what I do. Braid for frog fishing or certain vegetation, and for punching, I'm using fluoro for certain conditions, mono for others, and we'll get into like why I'm using what I'm using. So like in a popper, I'm usually using some mono because I want some stretch if I'm fishing kind of up close, and I know that there's going to be some possibility of some really big fish smashing my lure. I'm going to dig and it's going to run. I might be using some heavier duty mono at that point because mono also floats, while fluorocarbon's going to sink. It might pull the nose of the popper down, change the action a bit, and then also get stuck into some things and affect, how long you can let your popper sit there before the line starts sinking, gets in any kind of vegetation, messes with the action of your popper. And then if you get hit and you set the hook, easier to snap fluoro, right? So fluoro is not something you want to throw a popper with. Things like a whopper plopper, though, if you're covering open water, there's not a lot of weeds and vegetation, and you're making really long casts and you're bombing that lure out, then you can use fluoro so that when you get bit, boom, you can set the hook and you're going to dig right in. There's not a lot of give, there's not a lot of stretch, even over such a long distance. You just don't hammer so hard, you don't snap your line. And then even then, at that great of a distance, even if you set the hook kind of hard, you're going to have fluoro has some stretch. So given a super long cast, you're going to have a decent amount of stretch. If you're using fluoro and the fish hits right next to the boat, all you need to do is You need to be two things. If you're using a bait caster, you need to be ready to thumb it, because what's going to happen is if you get hit by anything over 3 or 4 pounds, what's going to happen no matter what line or what kind of stuff, you set the hook. If you get destroyed at the boat, you set the hook and it's going to rip right out of the fish's mouth, or hook it, fish is going to dive down with extreme force while your rod tips up, and it's going to pop right off. Or it'll pull your pull you, you'll give, because either something's going to snap, the rod, the line, the hook, right? You're all big old fish, right? Takes a dive, but that sucker's got so much energy. It was just right there. It's going to bend your pole over. You're going to go give, and then it's going to snap or straighten one of your hooks. So if you get hit at the boat, one of my suggestions is to dig, and immediately, as soon as you feel that that thing's pinned good and hooked, hit the spool button and start using your thumb as drag, and let that fish start having about 5 or 6. Watch around you. If you're not around, like at the Delta, and there's not a dock right there, then give that fish just a few feet and then immediately turn them. Don't let them get farther than like a fishing pole's length away, let's say. And then on top of that, what you're trying to do is you're really not trying to let him get away at all, or do anything, or her. You're trying to use your thumb as drag to keep just enough pressure to keep the fish hooked, to keep the fish pinned, and to make sure that you're giving it enough resistance so you're tiring it out while it's doing a dive. But you don't want to resist so much that you risk the hooks pulling out, because of the short distance. You don't have much line for shock absorption. Your pole, is right there, and the fish is right at the surface and has all that energy and momentum to try to shoot down. And it just got hooked, and it's near the boat, so it's got fresh, full of fight. It can really just hammer off and take down, and just rip the hook right out of its face, or pull so hard that it'll straighten the hook, or pull so hard it'll snap the line, right? So when you do get exploded on right there at the boat, make sure that it's a lift up, and as soon as that hook is pinned and going on its dive, start to slowly follow it, hit that bell, but keep your thumb tight on the line and let it have a little bit while you gauge how big it is, how bad it's going to run. The guy that you're also allowing the guy in the back to get the net, wow, you have time to turn that fish and get it back to you. Because in a perfect world, you'd hook it and immediately tug it right up to the top and net it, right? But if your strike happens right at the boat, you're not getting to the net. Someone's not getting the net. You're going to be standing there with the net. You're not going to expect it like that. And then when it goes down, you're not going to be able to get it by the time the fish goes, and it's already too late. Fish is on its run. And what you can do, you're going to try to muscle it and pull it up, even if you got 40-pound test and big old hooks, maybe. But there's also a likely that your hook's hooked in there pretty decent, but by putting so much force, you literally rip it right out of the fish's face. Just like there's a big hole in the fish's face, but fish is off and gone. So what I do when the bite is that close and that extreme is, like I said, I give them some run time. It gives time for someone to get the net. If you're by yourself, it gives time for you to start moving towards the net while still having control of the fish somewhat, while still giving pressure, fighting it, and you're only letting it take what you want to let it take with your thumb. And if it's really going, you can let it take some line for a second, but you can keep enough pressure where it's not going to get slack, it won't come off, it won't shake the lure or anything, right? So anyways, went on a rant real quick, but that's how I'll fish fluoro on certain top water, which is usually a no-no, because fluoro sinks, it'll pull the lure down. It can affect its action. But a whopper plopper, I'm usually using it as a search bait, and I'm moving fast, and I'm casting and bringing it in, and casting and bringing it in. And I might be doing it kind of slow, bring in, but either way, I'm covering water and I'm running it near things, parallel to the shore, out parallel, offshore, along docks, all kinds of crap. But that's an open water lure, and that's something that if I'm bombing the lure really, really far and I'm covering water, then I expect my bites, a lot of them may come in the first half of my retrieve. not the second half, and I'm going to have a lot of line out, then that can help. I'm just going to use a little heavier duty. So I fish a little bit different than some people, you know. And if I'm fishing up tight and up close, like at the Delta, no, I'm going to use mono. And then when you're walking the dog, certain stuff like that, you really want to use mono, or you want to use certain line, because a copolymer might work, but you don't want the line to sink and get into the nose hook, or the hook that's right underneath the nose. If you pause it, your line sinks and it starts to fall in. Then when you do your jerks, it's all messed up now, and you'll get your lure in, and the line will be going from your nose down through your first hook and out. And that's if you're pausing too long and your line's sinking, because fluoro is going to sink, right? So there's times when you got to use the right line for the right stuff. And what we're going to be doing is we'll be talking about that. We're going to do some, like I said, some Delta videos. So I'll break down, in my opinion, why sometimes I'll break the rules, fish a little bit like Goofy Foot or different. And you got to remember, sometimes everybody fishes different, or not everybody, but a lot of us do. Some guys fish right-handed completely. So what I mean by that is, let's just say they hold their rod in their right hand and they reel with their left. And they do that with bait casters, and they do that with spinning reels, right? And then some guys left hand hold the rod, reel with the right. And they do that with bait casters, and they do it with spinning. Some guys, like me, bait caster with the right, reel with the left, spinning rod, hold with the left, reel with the right, like Goofy Foot. So it's opposite and it's different. And then because of my wrist strengths, right, and my wrist memory, and I'm not ambidextrous, I can actually throw okay with my left hand. I can semi right. So I'm pretty, you know, and like boxing and fighting and stuff, my left's pretty decent. So right's my dominant, right? But I'm not ambidextrous 100%, but you get what I'm saying. So I have a strength and a weakness when it comes to that. I'm a little bit balanced, but I'm not balanced like 100%. So there's some lures that I really like throwing on a spinning rod due to the action and things that I need to do to use it correctly. And then there's some lures that I like spinning or using on a bait caster, right? Because of the same thing. And let's just say the industry norm is you use all of these lures on a bait caster, and you should usually use all of these on a spinning. Well, that light tackle, I'm probably going to throw on a spinning too, not throw it on a bait caster, right? Unless you have one of those BFS setups. But then they'll say you should always do the top part of the crankbait, the jig, use this all on the bait caster, right? Well, some of those lures, I'll probably want to throw on a spinning rod some of the times, especially if I'm fishing in high wind or just bad wind. If I'm fishing in really bad trees and cover and I need to whip it under, I can use a spinning rod sidearm way better than I could use a bait caster. So I have to sidearm cast if I'm limited with my space. So I have to make sidearm. Yeah, I'm using a spinning more comfortably over a bait caster. Jerk bait, I'm using on a spinning rod over a bait caster because of the timing of my two hands together. It works one way, but it doesn't work the other, if that makes sense. So I can't do a jerk bait on a bait caster very well. I can do it, and I catch fish, but I don't look like all nice and professional when I do it. With a spinning rod, I know how to do it real nice. The same thing with walk the dog lures. I can walk the dog like a champ with a spinning rod. With a bait caster, I'm okay with it, but like a spinning rod, I can make it do tricks. You know, I've gotten so used to it. So there's, you know, different strokes for different folks. We all, as long as you get out there and you fish and you have fun, that's the name of the game. So what I try to do is share with people, you know, how I'm catching them, what I'm catching them on, and the reasoning behind like why I do what I do, so that maybe, you know, if you feel the same way I do, or if you've ever thought those things, you kind of understand, okay, well, this makes sense, or maybe it doesn't. And it can help understand that whatever you do might be better, especially for you. You know, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, especially like if you fish with different hands. Excuse me. And I think I made a pretty decent job explaining why fishing when you're not a single-handed fisherman where you fish both setups with the same thing. Muscle memory and everything can come into play. So fishing certain lures can be pretty tricky. You have to relearn it, the muscle memory, and like how to use it. So it's been fun, you know, getting out there, and I always keep it real and truthful with you guys. I've got trophies. I've been fishing for like 30 years. I've been around the block fishing wise. I fished in tournaments. I've got the YouTube channel here. I got the double digits, but there's always, I'm by no means this great fisherman in my eyes, and there's always room to learn, to get better. So I'm not one of those guys that's stuck in my ways or that won't adapt or learn. So, like I said, at the Delta, I throw predominantly square bills and Seacos, which is true. But I have a ton of other lures that I throw. I've caught it. You guys can see videos. I've caught 5+ pounders on whopper ploppers, on all kinds of stuff at the Delta. I got like a 7 or something like that on a Senko at the Delta on video. I've got a lot of different stuff. So I've caught some nice fish on rattle traps, or LV 500s, some decent jerk bait fish. So you guys have seen it, but I have my tried and true. So I've caught a lot of more bigger fish on my square bill crankbait at the Delta, right? Well, at the lakes, I catch a lot of my big fish on jigs. So I fish drop shot, Ned rig, especially in the winter, or spawn, pre-spawn. Some of those finesse tactics can really just come in really clutch. But a jig also can get a big mama to bite when she normally probably would ignore your drop shot. So there's some tricks when you see too a big female and a smaller male on the bed. You probably want to throw a bigger lure right at the bed, and don't take the bait if the male bites. Don't set the hook, and you'll eventually piss the female off, because I've watched this happen with my own two eyes. The male will try to handle business, and what'll happen is after so many attempts of taking care of business, but obviously failing to do so, the female will get agitated, and you'll see her start circling. You'll see her activity level pick up. And if you just keep at it, she'll come and commit. Even if it's a 10+ pounder, you'll get her to bite eventually. And that's the key tactic is don't fish for her, don't fish for the fish. Fish at the bed, number one. And then when the male hits, don't commit, don't hook them, don't use lures that will hook them. And if you do, get them right back there instantly, and just keep harassing that male. And if you catch the male, it'll actually still mess with your bait, but it's a little bit shy, which usually in turn will bring the female up. That's another way. But if none of those tricks are working, you can always box the male. So catch the male, put it in your live well, and then focus on the female. Then once you got the female, then you can throw the male back. If you're tournament fishing or after monsters, always like to try to drop fish back off on the same beds that I pulled them off of. But when you're tournament fishing or fishing for the YouTube channel and you're boxing, fish during spawn, you're probably not taking them back to their bed, and you're screwing up some of the spawn. So I try to avoid from doing that too much, but every once in a while, I kind of just forget about, let's say, the rules, civility of fishing, as far as like, even though it's cool and it's going to get me some views and some clicks and likes, it's probably not a good idea to lug around 5, 3, or 4 pound pregnant females in the middle of March or April and cart them around for pictures and stuff. So, and then drop them off in the middle of the boonies. Like, all right, ladies. And they're just like all bursting, like, what the hell? I mean, I guess they'll probably pull up and punk a little female, or take, a bed that's open. But I could imagine it could also, they could just probably lay their eggs and then eat them, or just bounce and be like, all right, no spawn this year. I don't know. I'm not a fish biologist, so I don't have the answers to everything, but it's probably not a good idea. So it's not spawn though anyway. So I'm going to get out there tomorrow. Like I said, I'm going to the Delta. I'm going to take some nice video. We'll box our fish, try to show best 5. I'm going with Virgil, so it'll be nice to go see a good homie, a good friend of mine. Haven't got to fish with him in a bit. and haven't been fishing in a bit, so just super excited. So hopefully these tips and tricks help out. You guys will see the videos afterwards. But yeah, I'm pretty much be keyed in on the Delta probably for a while, and then I'll move back in towards the lakes here soon. As soon as the weather really starts taking a colder turn, and I know the bait's gonna really start balling up. Fish are start balling up. I'm gonna get up there upriver, um, try to find those feeding aggressive fish, and go have some fun. I'm gonna throw some bigger baits, some bigger probably some swim baits, probably some big top water, some crank baits for sure, some big spinner baits, maybe even a big spoon or something. Um, just depends what the fish are doing on the fish finder and what they're doing activity wise. But I've got a lot of different lures, ready to try a lot of different tactics, as most do us, right? But we have our tried and true. It's not funny. Some of us, I see guys that go through their repertoire of lures and they throw everything. They throw 10 minutes one lure, 10 minutes another lure, 10 minutes another lure. And I admire that. Sometimes I'd throw the same lure 2, 3 hours straight. But if I'm with somebody and we're doing different things, it's just not working. Either the fish aren't there, or they're just, you know, I don't know. So I'll usually stick with lures, I think, more than I do change them. Especially if I get a mood or a feeling that there's going to bite a certain way, the conditions, the fish on the fish finder, or if I've caught a few already, or I've seen somebody catch them, or I know somebody's caught them before, the day before, or whatever. Um, but I'm open minded. I change and definitely throw different things throughout the day. But I usually, what I do is I key in on them pretty quickly, and then I just go flying around trying to just hammer them. But usually that produces more of a numbers game instead of a size game. Going for the size is you're not really after a bunch of fish, you're after the right fish. So if you're not catching fish, you're going to leave spots soon. You're fishing things like crankbaits, jigs. You're not bothering with drop shots and stuff. You might throw a Cinco or something, but you're going to fish key structure, key things. You're going to cover certain areas where you cover water. Certain key spots at the delta are always usually good for some fish, and just move around until you find the right fish and the fish, and then you cover, and then you duplicate once you do that. And you can also, once you find a decent stretch, give it 20, 30 minutes and run right through it again. And then, or also run through a stretch, you tear it up, give it 5 or 10 minutes, run through it backwards, now the opposite way, and then wait 20, 30 minutes and then go back through it. And sometimes you can do that all day and just destroy them and kill them, especially if you're on the big ones, 5+ pounders, 8 pounders. Sometimes you'll find schools of them. We've had days where we've caught multiple over 6, just monsters left and right. Just, oh my God. It was like the greatest, it was awesome. But I hope everybody's having a good night. Smash that like button. Wow, man, it's been a minute, right? I've been lagging. I'm on early too, though, folks. The reason I'm on early is I've got to get ready for tomorrow's fishing trip. I've got to take care of some business with the van and clean up and prepare for the rest of my work week. And I got to get wrapped up from my previous work week, and organize thing, put things away, disassemble the old units that I've uninstalled or put them away. Get the trash out, make sure there's no screws that pop our tires. Do all that crap, get everything cleaned up. So I'm on here early tonight. Wanted to let everybody know, like I said, that I'm going to be out at the Delta tomorrow, so I'm stoked. And what up, James David? Ram Ranch. So, being that it's a Monday, oh, appreciate it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go have fun at the Delta tomorrow. I'm going to go try. I've heard people say it's been tough for them, but I've seen a lot of other people doing good too. So it just depends probably where. And here's what I would also say is, man, with the drought conditions that we're having, I would expect the fish I'm gonna go try to fish for kitty. Nice. On the Potomac River in DC. Sweet, dude. I've always wanted to go to one of those places where you could catch those like 50 to 100-pound catfish that you see people noodling for or catching, where they're like 150-pound catfish and stuff. Big old monsters, big as a person. Oh, dude, or go to like Texas and catch an alligator gar. I've been to Florida, but I didn't have my YouTube channel then. It was just a couple years right before I started it. So I wish I would have gone to Florida and had my YouTube channel. Oh yeah, they get real big and fat. Oh, I bet they do, brother. I bet they do. I can't. I would love to go do something like that. So that's what I'm. That's what my life I'm working towards, taking care of the family, this and that. But my idea of a good life is being able to afford a plane ticket to go fly out to Alaska to go catch some salmon once in a blue moon, or go fly out to Texas or Florida and go do some nice fishing here and there once in a while. Nothing crazy, you know. That's the dream. That's what I'm chasing right now. Oh yeah, yeah. I helped you get to New York, huh? You were driving from somewhere to New York, and it was like a 3 or 4 hour drive, easy. And it was like I think I stayed on the stream almost like 4 hours, 5 hours. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I helped get you to. Yeah, I remember that, brother. Yeah, you've been with the channel a long time. Thank you, James David, always being a good, supporter and commenting and jumping on. Appreciate it. So I was driving to go see my wife. Crazy thing is she's 9 months pregnant and she's about to pop. Oh man. Wow. Like right now or you mean then when you were driving a year ago and I had to help you get to New York? Or right now she's 9 months pregnant and about to pop. Oh, excuse me. Right now. Oh dude, congratulations and hell yeah. Like man, is this your first kid? Is this your first double digit? You're gonna have a is almost a double digit. It's like an 8 pounder. Don't lie, it's not a double digit. Oh, your first one too. Oh, I love it, dude. Okay, was your first one? It's gonna be like, oh shit, I'm gonna break this little thing. You're gonna be like, oh, like the head and the body, like there's no strength, there's no that head's hella heavy, right? So you have to like support it. You'll be like, oh, this thing's fragile, right? And you'll barely want to change its diaper or mess with it. You'll be afraid you're gonna break it, right? Yeah, as it goes, because when they come out, they're super small. Even a big fat worker, when they're kind of tucked up, it's not real big, right? So, but then when they become just a month or two in and they get big and healthy, then okay. But it's funny, like the way you'll coddle them and treat them, and then when they get 6 months, a year, the way you're holding. But then when you have two or three, by the time you hit baby two or three, if you have them, you're throwing them in the air and you're catching them and you're doing cartwheels with them and you're telling them, go play with matches. No, not quite like that, but you know what I mean? You're like, tell your brother stop beating up his sister or whatever, or you got, and usually you'll have like the one that you got to have like help with the others. It's fun. Having a family is awesome. So congratulations. I love being a dad. I've got like 5 kids that I'm raising. I've actually technically got like 6 or 7 or whatever, some crazy number. But because I've raised, like, long story short, I raised a kid from when he was like 3 years old until he was like 12 or 13. And then me and his mom got divorced. So that's one kid. I had one kid who passed away. That's another one. Then I had the two that I had with my wife. That's 4. And then my current girlfriend slash wife, I've been with her for like 10 years. She has 3. So that is 7. And then there's a kid that I had when I was 19 that the woman stole from me and put up for adoption. And I don't hold it against her. She's a cool chick. Is we were, I was young, we were young and dumb. And I still haven't got to meet him yet, but we kind of connected, like me and his like parents connected, and we did a paternity test, and yeah, I'm his dad. So like, I think that's 8 kids technically. that like I kind of consider myself as dad too. So that's hilarious. But really, I'm biologically dad to four kids that I know of. And one of them's passed away, and one of them I don't know. So I technically have two biological kids, right? So it's confusing as hell. And then the oldest kid of my wife's doesn't live with us anymore. He's over 19, so we only have four in the home. So try to explain how many kids do you have to someone. It's like the funniest question ever. Like if I'm in some customer's house and I'm doing some work and they're like, "Oh, how many kids do you have?" It's like, which answer do I choose? I don't want to give the whole story away. So, you know what? We're going to keep it a little loose. I gave some fishing tips earlier. So if you're interested in checking those out about the Delta, go back and rewatch this here at the beginning. First half hour dedicated to kind of what I want to do at the Delta and why. But yeah, I like cracking jokes and talking ish. Ish Monroe. I love that River to Sea Biggie Papa, man. My favorite square bill. So, anyways, let's read some more comments. Uh, I got, yeah, that's gonna be the most precious thing. Hey, Mike, nice to see you on. Yep, yeah, you got more relaxed for sure. You start throwing them around. Yeah, yeah, being a dad's the best, man. You've seen my oldest son in my videos. That one is Tyler, which would be my wife's son. My oldest son um, is his name's Elijah. I don't really want to tell everyone his last name because he's adopted, right? His name's Elijah. He's like 20 or so now. I think he's 20, and he's down in Southern California going to college. He was adopted out to some doctors who live in Northern California, let's just say, and they, he's a only child, so it'd be interesting if he's obviously he's my kid, so I know he's gonna have my genes, so he's gonna be one ornery sob, and super strong willed and just ultra stubborn. Um, but I wonder, like how it basically like how would I have turned out with two rich white parents that were like, no other siblings, and I had brothers, right, and we grew up poor. Shoot, I've been homeless, so it's like it would be interesting to meet my son. I ponder whether I'd even like him. You know what I mean? Like, would we even get along? He'd probably be like a Democrat, voted for Biden, like all loony or something. I'm like over here, all like, boy, let me tell you something. Yeah, of course I love him and I love him unconditionally no matter what. But it's some funny stuff I think of. That's the kind of crap about being a parent, man. So it's awesome though. I tell you what, there's the ups and there's the downs. You worry about them, you stress out over them, but you love them unconditionally, and there's like nothing you wouldn't do for them. Like if there was anything that threatened to harm my kids, I got no compunction, literally destroying, killing, murderlating, and absolutely Hulk smashing with my bare hands and my teeth if I have to. Like literally, I will like headbutt something to death. Like if I could convey the amount of rage and anger I would impart on anything trying to hurt my children, man, that's how I feel, like Super Papa Bear. And being a dad's like it's like the best thing ever. You love your kids unconditionally, do anything for them, and that's kind of that's how I feel about all my kids. But yeah, so I've had a unique one. I tell you what, I got a zoo, and then we've got three German shepherds. We've got a Chihuahua. My brother's got a Queensland healer. I take care of my disabled dad and brother, so I literally have a zoo right here. So this is my little escape. This is like sitting on the toilet. Most guys they go hide from their wives. They sit on the toilet on their cell phone. Hey, I do that too. But this is like my toilet and cell phone right here. So cheers, Common Sense Fishing crew. Appreciate everybody. Thanks for watching. Smash that like button. And we had our giveaway from last month, but we got to have one more for August. That'll probably be next week. So stay tuned for that. And as soon as we hit 2,000 subs, I'm going to do something cool like give away a combo, tackle package, something, really nice just to kind of represent, hitting 2,000, like maybe a $200 giveaway like worth of something. So we'll go get like a nice $120, $150 combo, and then maybe 50 to 80 bucks worth of lures, put it all together, and it'll be like my combo, like what I would throw for if I was throwing jigs or crankbaits or whatever. Then it'll be that combo with that line and with those lures already pre ready to go, like bam, a little pack of what I would throw on that setup, right? So we're gonna do something cool. That's when we hit 2,000 subs. So we're at 1,900 right now. So we're getting there slowly but surely. But in the summer, I grow real slow. For one thing, YouTube naturally dips in the summertime because people are out doing things. So there's less viewership across the board. More viewership for people in the fall, winter, and spring, especially the political channels, the pop, those kind of channels. They do good when there's events, things happening that are going around, specific movies or duds or crazy social things happening, or during election cycles, those channels go haywire, get a lot of videos or get a lot of views, do real good. I've got, by the way, I've also got a channel like that called Common Sense Talks. I haven't gone on in a while. Subscriber count's just been so low. Hopefully we can get it up, and then I can start dedicating more time. Because if you guys want to hear me crack jokes, want to hear me talk ish, you guys want to hear me go over like current topics, news, other stuff, go ahead and join over there. Check out Common Sense Talks. So that's just more like where I cover pop culture, news, video games, like the world news, financial stuff, just talk about events and things that happen. It's kind of my all around YouTube channel. So it's where I would actually, believe it or not, I would rather focus on that one than the fishing channel, because I know I'm a good fisherman and I'm decent, but I know there's a lot better. And then even if I were one of the best, there's always more to know, and I'm always happy to share with people. But I see like a real potential for growth because there's such hot topics, right? So financially and business wise, if I had started one 10 years ago and went to a couple of protests or big events and gotten, my channel started earlier, okay, great. But now it's really hard to break into that. So I put a little, I go put that channel here and there, and I upload videos. So if you're interested in seeing stuff like that, go check that out, Common Sense Talks. Otherwise, here we pretty much, that's like James David here has got me on a rant. Now I'm about to talk about anything tonight. Screw it. Fuck it. We'll do Freestyle Friday too again. I'll bring back the music. I don't care. I don't want to make everybody upset or no, keep it fishing related, but I like to have fun on the channel too. That's the general idea, is a good community of fishermen that, we're learning things and sharing a good laugh and a good time together, memories, and things like keeping James David awake through his New York trip. That was epic. So, yep, you know that I got a lot of mouths to feed. Watch a lot of your videos, but I didn't comment often unless I got something real to say. Well, I appreciate it, brother. You'll be wearing a sweater around your neck, LMO. Let's go. 2,000 subs. Well, you see, the thing is, with my fancy sweater, I am now Bass Pro Sam. No, I am not Common Sense Fishing. I am Sam Pro. Please address me accordingly. Uh, yeah, we're growing. Yeah, you were here for my 1,000 subs, but I think you were here back when I was like 500 or 600 too. I'll break into it one of these days. Hang out with Casper on the other channel. Now, I don't want to get demonetized, piss off YouTube. I'm surprised. Like, see, that shit's still on my channel. It's buried. I haven't deleted those videos. Like, there's shit, dude. Like early videos. But now, I'm trying to keep it low key as far as all that, because like I don't mind discussing it a little bit, but it's like the brand here is fishing and fun, and I want to be able to be family friendly, but yet with a little bit of spice, to where it's known like, hey, this isn't the channel that, like, if you're real thin skinned or like some occasional bad words offend you, but this is also not a brash butthead channel that's just full of stupidity and bad words and negative things. So it's kind of, tried to be meant for everybody, but yet funny and mature enough for adults, kind of like The Simpsons or Family Guy or a real well done cartoon. Yeah, the kids could watch it, but there was a ton of shit in there that's for the adults. And you'll see parents blasting the gut laughing and the kids scratching their head like that wasn't funny. Like they have no idea, right? So it's kind of like that. That's kind of where I'm trying to keep this channel so I don't get booted by the YouTube police. Show me your papers. We see you have talked about the he she's and the she he's and the wee wees and the pee pees. You shall be banished. Kick me off YouTube and I'm gone forever. Like, oh no. Well, I can imagine someone clipping that section of what I just said. Oh no. You're going night fishing Friday and Saturday night at Pedro. Only my second time night fishing. No, ain't the channel for snowflakes. You get melted. Karens and Kens need not apply. But you can still be a pretty square individual and enjoy the channel. And you can be one of those pretty savage people and enjoy the channel. I kind of like have that because I've been a chameleon in my life as far as like I've been homeless, I've been down and out, and I learned to spot good people. So I've seen that there are good poor people, there are good rich people, there are good medium people, and there's bad in everybody too. So I just try to uh, basically surround myself with good people, make good decisions, and but not tiptoe around shit. But at the same time, don't be too offensive. But if what my if it offends you at the same time, well, screw it. I'm not like yeah, this ain't a Karen or Ken or Snowflake channel for sure. But you guys will see. Come back Freestyle Friday, and we'll play some music and talk about fishing. Yeah, but Mike, only your second time night fishing, dude. Night fishing is so fun. Uh, just take your time. Don't smash around fast at night. Just fish, launch wherever you're launching. Just launch and fish. Don't even do much running. Just launch and just start fishing. Make sure you have some light so you can see. You can check out what's going on around you. But my main advice would be keep the lights off and fish and do everything as dark as possible and only use the lights if absolutely necessary. Second is learn to kind of dial in your cast and figure out what's like the farthest or about the farthest you can cast, and then keep your boat about that far from shore so that when you cast, you can cast pretty hard. Like, not like, don't try to cast a mile, but just a nice and lob it, and know that you're going to not hit shore and that you'll be anywhere from a foot from shore to maybe 4 or 5 feet from shore, and just stay like that and try to put your bait as close to shore as possible without actually landing on shore. And then jigs are perfect at night because if you do land on shore, you usually pop it out or just pull your boat up really slowly, turn your headlight or headlamp on, and then just stick your rod out and lift your jig out of whatever crack or whatever thing it's stuck in, right? And it can take a big beating. If you're using a crankbait, what can happen is if you're not paying attention, it's real easy at night to break your crankbait on the rocks, break bills, put cracks in your crankbait, and then your crankbait fills up with water and it starts sinking. So there's some things you got to watch out for depending on what lures you're using. But night fishing, man, my favorite thing. If I had some time, I'd go out there and meet you. But I don't. I think I'm taking tomorrow off. It's my only day off next week. I have a giant load of some ductwork coming in, and then I have a ton of work for like the next week, where I'm probably going to be either installing some new equipment, but I'm also replacing a bunch of ductwork, changing out a compressor. So we'll be busy again. But a couple weeks from now, by September, it'll slow down, and I'll wish I had work. And then it'll be, can I afford to go fishing to make videos for you guys? Then what I'm going to be doing is putting posts on Facebook saying, please, anybody want to go fishing? put gas in my truck and put gas in the boat, and I'll take you. And then that way, someone comes, put the gas in the truck and boat, and then boom, get us into the lake. And I'll take our fishing for the whole day, record it all, have video for you guys, and then get home. And I don't have to spend any money. That would be kind of the idea. Because, man, this gas price is crazy. And owning your own business, man, it is a stress when like all my credit cards, my payments, my loans, all my stuff that I've used to having over the last 10 years of working hard and doing good for other companies. Now that I've paid my own check, it's hard to maintain like a consistent amount of money all year long. It gets tricky. During the summer you make an excess, but you got to save it. And right now it's like not looking good as if I had to make it through a whole year. I'm like, oh hell no. So I know I'll finish up strong and I'll be at a certain level by the time it slows down. But I gotta watch how I spend going forward, especially with taxes are gonna go up with that new. We'll go check out Common Sense Talks. I'll rant about that. But gas prices, lake entry fee. It's like, damn, they get you. So I don't want to be too negative, but yeah. So what I'm going to try to do is work out some partnership and just say, hey, folks, who wants to go fishing? You want to go fishing? Yeah, let's work a deal out. I'm broke. I got truck and bass boat, but no gas though. How about you help a brother out? That way I still be putting videos out all year. Now I'm half kidding, half serious because hopefully, I'll finish out strong throughout the summer. Finish September good, and then winter will pick up okay. Last winter was relatively warm. Spring and fall is where it's brutal. But good thing is I have a pretty good reputation being known for other things. Do water heaters, I can do breakers, electrical, odd and end handyman stuff, sinks and faucets, and you know. Plus, I got my little collectible store online, eBay, so sell stuff. Certain stuff I'm never gonna sell. It's for me, but there's boxes of shit. So I sell, my collectibles. So I'll make it. I'll figure it out. That's kind of how it's always been for me. And God's always had a guardian angel over there just looking out for me. So I never really worry too much. And yeah, so I'm happy. It's crazy though. This year sucks. Like for the toy drive, hasn't been good. We got like 3 or 4 bikes and like a small pile of toys. I seen my memory from last year. I already had like enough toys for like 15 families or something, or the year before. I was like, damn. That was when I had the Kelsey Bass Ranch membership. So, man, nobody ever wanted to watch those videos. I tell you what, I put out a Kelsey Bass Ranch video, or I put out a video with hella big bass and lots of them, and nobody ever wants to watch it as soon as they notice it's like a pond or that it's Kelsey Bass Ranch. But sure as shit, though, everybody that lives around here, we'll pay you $200, $100. Take us to Kelsey. So I was able to do a lot of toys, but now it's pretty much I only fish the Delta or the lakes now. And yeah, I'm not the best guide. I'm not a guide even officially. I don't really, I don't guide. I don't do that. But I do that toy drive where I'll take people fishing for toys or for a donation, and then I buy the toys. So save them the time. They can just give me the money. I'll go buy the toys. And I really do. I don't pocket the money and use it. I don't do that shit. I go out and I go to Ross usually or Walmart, a couple other places, and I get a bunch of toys. And so I'm hoping that that'll pick up this year too when I have some more time to focus on it. Because what's also been happening is it's been a trade off. I've been focusing more on my company, my HVAC work. So that's also why I haven't been on here as much. So life, there's a lot going on. I got to try to juggle, but I enjoy hanging out with you guys, talking fishing, being able to relax in my little air conditioned room in here, and have my beers. Casper's right over there chilling. My friendly ghost and my friendly fishing community. You guys and gals are awesome. So thanks for watching. Smash that like button, and hopefully we're gonna have a great couple of videos to show you guys from the Delta trip. Let's hear what you guys got going. Going to throw jigs and wobble heads. There you go. My three go-to baits at night are going to be a jig for bottom bouncing, a square bill or a medium diving crankbait for reaction, not a deep, medium or square. So 8 to 11 foot diver or a 4 to 7 foot diver. So those two crankbaits, a jig, and then top water like a whopper plopper or a spook works really good at night with the rattles, and then pause, and then pause, right? And walk the dog. Um, so those would be my three favorite night lures right there. I'll use a deep diving crankbait, but usually that's a little bit more earlier in the summer. So like June, I would have probably thrown a deep diving crankbait. Yeah, not. I don't know about late July, early August. Probably not. I would go medium. The fish are either way deeper and they're out, or they're starting to pull up and they're shallow and cracks and rocks and logs. Using shade, temperature's real hot, so they're not usually right up there. They could be in an inch of water, but usually I find them anywhere from a foot of water down to about 25 feet or so. The bigger fish in these main lakes, in the big lakes. While I'll also find some good fish 50, 60 feet deep, and they could be over 100 feet of water suspended in a ball, feeding on some shad or something, or baby bass down there, and just going to town. And, dropping LV 500s or spoons through those are a great way to catch those fish. So I actually haven't done a video of that yet. I don't think I've got some LV 500 fish for sure, but not one. And from 50, 60 feet deep, but not one where I'm on a real big school, just pulling them out left and right. And then I haven't got one on a spoon on video yet for you guys, but I've caught them. So it'll be interesting to catch my first spoon, like video spoon fish. Now, one that I've never caught a fish on yet, I believe, is a spy bait. So I'd like to throw that this fall, practice with that. Then we're going to start throwing some swim baits. We're going to start getting into the swim bait game. We're going to start taking people's advice. We're going to start getting a couple of different, a rod or two for it, and a couple of different swim baits. We're going to start small, like our medium, 5, 6 inch swim baits. Is where I'm going to start, and then I'm going to work my way up to the 8s and 10s and 12s and stuff like that. So we're going to work with like 5 and 6, or 4 to 6 is what I'm going to focus on first until I just really feel comfortable. And then I'm going to move to probably those 6 and 8 inch HUDs and glide baits. And then once we get that down, we'll start trying to throw some 10-inch stuff or bigger baits, presentations. We'll have to get bigger, the right gear for all that. But anywhere from a 4 or 5 inch Kitech or like Rage Swimmer or whatever, Strike King, like Bottom Walker or whatever, to a 6 inch HUD, let's say, right? You can throw those on a certain rod, but 6 to 8 inch HUD, you kind of, I'd say not a 6 inch HUD, but like a 5 inch Kitech, and certain swim baits like a Bottom Walker and some of the smaller line throughs you can throw on a certain rod, right? But then you need to upgrade when you're throwing those 6, 8 inch HUDs, when you're throwing them bigger glide baits, the S wavers, and then you got to even upgrade beyond that when you're throwing the 10 and 12 inch baits, right? So I'm going to start with the two kind of main things and work my way into that comfort zone. So you guys will get to follow along and learn as I learn, and then maybe even teach me too. So when you see me out there and maybe I dump a big fish or two on camera, or I miss a couple hook sets, you guys can help inform me what I might be doing wrong. Or maybe when I discover how I'm really, once I start getting into swing, start catching a lot of big fish with these bigger baits, I can start sharing with you guys my insights and how I feel on it. But really, I'm kind of new to that type of fishing. I've caught fish on them before, bigger swim baits, but relatively few fish and nothing bigger than maybe like a 3 pounder, I want to say. Personally, I've caught a lot of dinks, which has really been, and not a lot of fish, a lot of throwing the bait for a long time with no bites. Maybe I was probably throwing with the wrong gear, throwing it in the wrong places, the wrong line, the wrong times a year. A lot of factors where I was probably just wasting time. The more I know, though, the more I think I'm prepared to go out there and make that transition. So I know I keep talking about I want to get guests on the show here. I want to start transitioning to some bigger, more power fishing baits, less fish, but bigger fish. And then you can even catch bigger fish on little baits, but just honing in on making sure I'm catching bigger fish over numbers. And that may lead to some days where I only have two or three fish in the video. But I'm going to start releasing videos where I'm going to go out and I'm going to throw a spinner bait all day, a crankbait or a deep diver. I'm going to throw a 5-inch swim bait all day. If I only catch two fish, you'll see that video, you'll see my two fish, and you'll see my frustrations and my success and my and my hurdles, so to speak. So I'll explain like, hey, this sucks. I fished all day. I only got these two fish. See, this is why I don't fish like this a lot. Probably could have drop shot bigger and better fish than this, blah, blah, blah. But I'll stick with it, right? And, or if I do real good, great. We'll learn something together. So I'm excited to start throwing that kind of stuff more. And hopefully, like I said, get some guests on the show. There's some changes I want to do. I want to get a better video and audio equipment soon. Um, it just really depends on the growth of the show and the channel. And I know that depends on me. Then I am, the better I am, the better I put out, then the more people I'm going to get, and the more this channel is going to thrive and succeed. So it requires a lot of effort to get there. And being that it's in the middle of summer and that I have to put food on the table for my family, the one is trumping the other for now. So, but eventually, I wish to be able to make this something that is full time, or at least that I can consistently do during certain times, even during the summer, and then have my air conditioning company built up big enough I can hire some employees, and then I can start stressing a little less. I mean, I'll stress more now. I'm a boss, got other issues to think about, but instead of me working 16-hour days, 18-hour days, 12-hour days, working 7 days a week for 3 or 4 weeks straight, or working like 15 to 20 days straight, and then finally having one day off, and then working another 15 to 20 days straight type stuff. I can actually alleviate some of that. Then I can make sure that I'm getting off at a certain time every day so that I can really focusing on this channel, because that's kind of the goal. Is that they say that really successful people have multiple streams of income. They have their eggs in different baskets, diversified investments. You save more than you spend type stuff, right? So I've been not the greatest with my money, but I've been okay with it. Now, with as far as my investments and trying to grow, that's what this is all about too. Trying to grow a channel, trying to grow a fishing business, so to speak, with a nice, awesome community, while at the same time in my real life that's non-internet, right? I'm doing my HVAC business, and maybe one day one will out trump the other, and this will be so busy and so much money we don't have much time to come. But I still wouldn't really like that, because I wouldn't really be a happy human if even I had a lot of money, but I was so busy I couldn't enjoy it. So if I can't, I want to successfully grow the company to where I'm busy and I'm making more money, but I'm going to maintain a decent life, time off, and I can spend time with my family and kids and go fish. Then I can definitely invest in this channel. But if I'm barely keeping my head above water, I have to work so hard that I don't have time. That kind of sucks, right? But it also could be where this channel blows up. I'd put more into it, keep fishing, get Greg Blanchard size one day, get tactical or Milliken fishing size one day, and become that like off-brand, like, hey, that's like the Trevor, or that's like the National Lampoon version of a fishing pro. Like the dude's like good fisherman, got a crazy channel and this and that, but he hangs out with Casper, he talks shit, he goes down this and that. He's not like your average everyday bass pro, right? He's a down to earth, funny, cool dude, right? And I'll put my foot in my mouth sometimes, do some dumb shit, say some dumb shit, but I'm fun, I'm entertaining, try to share value and knowledge. So I hope to build a good community, but a fun one, like we talked about earlier, not for the snowflakes and Karens. So hopefully not a stressful one too, where we can get together and have fun and share information, knowledge, and respect one another, but at the same time where we can tell jokes and we can kick the shoes off, so to speak, and be a little free. So that's kind of that's the goal, right? So, but life is wild. It's a roller coaster with lots of ups and downs, and you can make all these plans, and life will just wreck them. So what I try to do is I'll lay some plans for sure, but I'm really good at compromising or at what you call on the fly. So I just wing it, like screw it, we're just rolling with it. We're going this way, then we're going that way. Yeah, fuck it, we'll make it work. At the end of the day, it works, don't it? Right? So not in my work. I try to be real professional and do things correct and not just make it work. But in life, sometimes you just got to be like that. You just got to figure out how to cross that river, how to cross that bridge. It looks impossible, but you just got to figure that shit out and MacGyver it, some duct tape and bubble gum, and Tarzan your ass across the bridge if you have to, right? That's how life is, or you just sit there on the other side sulking and you never progress. It's not ever easy, right? There's a lot of challenges, but that's how this channel is. That's how the company's been. That's how life's been. But it's awesome because you're not dead. If you're experiencing those challenges, for one, it means you're growing. It's like growing pains. It means you're butting up against something because you're trying to achieve more than you have before. And so you're hitting your own limitations or what you thought were, what your previous, and you're expanding and it's an interesting process to go through. I tell you what. So, anyways, listen to me ranting. As you guys can tell, I've definitely hung out with my buddy Casper right before the show, and I've got a few beers in me, some General Sherman IPAs. So, all right, let's get into some. Good evening, Ronald Roquemore. I'm launching at Moccasin, so you'll fish woods. Nice. So, woods is fine. I'd fish woods and I'd fish moccasin too, and then I'd even fish right there where the main, where the narrows come into and open, like around the bridge and the piling, stuff like that. So night fishing a lot. There's a lot to cover, but at night I don't really hammer one area unless I notice that it's full of fish on my fish finder, or I'm just picking fish off left and right. If it slows down, I'll move on or change lures, and then you'll start catching more. But that's where that fish finder comes in handy. It'll tell you if there's any more down there. You pick it clean, move on, or at least catch most of them. But anyways, I appreciate everybody. Smash that like button if you get a chance. All right, we got more likes than people on. What do you throw around pilings? Weightless Cincos, wacky rig Cincos, um, throw a drop shot, um, spoon, and an LV 500 would probably, or a rattle trap. Rattle trap falls slower, so I'd probably throw a rattle trap over an LV. LV falls real fast, but there's times when they want it quick. So I would either fish it from kind of far away and fish it with a weightless Cinco and only and fish right up against it and just fish. There's four sides, so I'm not trying to make 100 casts on one side. I want to cast my bait right. So if there's a square piling, I want to land right about in the middle of it, or maybe past it, right on the edge, and then pop it like a foot. And then I want that thing to die all the way down that bridge. And then I only want to give it little twitches occasionally, because what it will do is it will move it forward and up. So you only have so many times that you can twitch or pop your bait before it basically, if you cast it right. So you say your boat's right here and closer to the camera, and you cast it past the piling and you start sinking, right, real slow. But every time you twitch it, it's moving forward too. You're only going to have so many casts before your bait gets past the piling, right? Or not cast, but twitches. So what I do is I cast my Cinco, I let it fall down, and then about maybe every 8 to 10 feet, I'll twitch it once, boop, and then let it fall down some more, boop, and then I get it down 30 or 40 feet even, and I clear the piling kind of horizontally. So my first cast will go here, and then as it falls, I pop it forward, and then it sinks down, and then I pop it forward, and then it sinks down, and then I pop it up and forward, and it sinks down, and then the same thing, right? And I do like that. That's how I'll fish a piling real thoroughly with the weightless Senko or a wacky rig Senko. And you can do the same thing with flutter spoon. Jig it, pop it, and every time you jig it and pop it, it's not only going to come up, but unless you're right over it, it's going to come forward towards you. So you only have so many jigs before your lure leaves that strike zone. So what you can do is either make a few casts and only let it fall 10 feet and jig it and pop it, jig it and pop it, and fish the top part of that piling. So let's say this is 50 feet deep or 40 feet deep. So you cast to the, let's say this is 40 or 50 feet deep. So you cast your lure right past it or next to it, right? And it starts to sink. And as you move your lure, right, and it's doing this and it's sinking like this, same thing with an LV 500. But what you can do is you can only let it sink to here, then pop it up, sink to here, pop it up, sink to here, pop it up, sink to here, pop it up. And then your next cast, same thing, let it sink. Now this time, let it go a little deeper and then pop it up. A little deeper, then pop it up. A little deeper, then pop it up. See? And then your next cast, same thing, let it go deeper and then pop it up. And you make 4 or 5 casts and you cover this whole face from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 30 to 40, 40 to 50 type thing. And you fish that whole face. And then you can turn around and fish this side, and then turn around and fish this side. Fish all 4 sides of it. And if the pilings usually hold fish all year long, you can win tournaments like that. You can stay on piling all day long and fish real thorough. But if you're not getting bit, don't waste the time. It just depends on if it's the key. Give me one quick second, since there's only 2 of you guys still in the room right now. I'm gonna go see my friend Casper real quick. Screw this. All right. So he gave me my beer. He said, "Hey, you can have a drink of your beer." I said, "Hey, Cam, say, how's it going?" Man, it's been one hell of a night, I tell you what. Been talking about the Delta, talking about power fishing, some changes to the channel. Like I said, I want to get some guests on here. I'm even thinking about, if I have to, just to get the ball kind of rolling, I'll pay some people if I have to, just a decent little amount. Come hang out with me for 2 or 3 hours. I'll get a comfortable little setup here. We'll even get like some beer, some liquor or something, and we'll just talk fishing, and we'll chat too. We'll talk about whatever, but try to keep it hunting, fishing, outdoors related. But occasionally we'll go down tangents. We'll talk about whatever. And we can also maybe do where we do 2 hours on the Common Sense Fishing channel, and then we switch over to Common Sense Talks, and then we spend an hour talking about like just crazy whatever, right? News, hot topics, what's going on in the world, how we feel about certain things. And then every week, let's say, or every time we get a new guest, we're getting new perspectives, new opinions, because my channel's not yet established as a right or a left channel. And then the people that watch me are fishermen. They're not right or left. Some are right, some are left, right? Some are middle, some. So it would be interesting to see how that would help build the dynamics of the other channel, because each person's going to be different, and it would be kind of cool to get a unique perspective of how we're all fishermen, right? How can you see, like, let's say 100 fishermen and women, men and women, but yet how we may be very similar, all have this love for fishing, but feel very differently about like other things in life. And I think it would be a great place to bring people together, to have those conversations, because fishing is the crux that brings us together. So not on this channel. I don't want to get political division, don't want to cause headache. This is a fishing channel, right? But the idea would be to bring guests on, talk fishing, and then maybe after doing this we spend a small amount of time on the other channel, Common Sense Talks. And then after every video here, refer people over there, say, hey, if you're really interested in that stuff, go check it out. That'd be something I'm looking into doing. I'm trying lots of different stuff without being stupid. Like, I'm not a clickbait hunter. I'm not gonna like set fake videos up, trip in the water, throw my pole in the water, oh push someone, oh there's a game warden or police, oh this. I just catch real life crap and I fish. You know, like the dude in the Delta that flipped going 80 miles an hour. We went and saved his life or pulled him out of the drink. That was pretty cool to catch right there. None of that staged, you know, and I don't go looking for trouble either or stuff. So I feel that it's a very organic, good base to this channel. It's just breaking out of that like lower barrier because no matter what, too, I've also got to contend with the YouTube algorithm gods. So if I occasionally say stuff they don't like, or if there's one reviewer that sees that I'm, you know, oh, he's got multiple channels, and then they see my Common Sense Talks video, those things may punish my Common Sense Fishing video because I'm the same account owner. So you never know. You could get shadow banned. You know, you can have all kinds of crazy stuff happen. So, I just be me either way, and hopefully we'll get this channel up there and running, right? Because I don't know. I think there's a lot of nice, wealthy people, but I think there's also a lot of just the fishing community too has just a lot of like Karens or Kens or just people that are just too uptight, too rich, too just like spoiled, or too like opinionated about how people hold their fish, treat their fish, whether they eat them or not, whether they're this or that. And we all have our opinions, but then there are just people that are assholes about their opinions, right? Because I mean, we can all feel a certain way about whether you eat a fish or not every once in a while, or how you hold or handle a fish. We can all feel this way or that way is better or not. But you know, it's how you interact with people. And the crazy thing with the internet is it makes it to where people are just like, they would say stuff they wouldn't say in real life, you know. So it's like I just roll and be me. And I think that that has its own attraction, right? Like Donald Trump in a sense, right? You either love him or you hate him, because in a sense he was like that loudmouth asshole that like you either were like, yeah, I'm on your side, screw that, you know, we feel this way. And then if you hated him, you were just like, oh, he's this. So it's like I feel I'm kind of real like not quite as, but I'm very like outspoken and too, but I'm just like I don't bend myself to make other people happy. Like I'm not gonna lie to you to try to I'd just punch you in the face if I didn't like you type guy. That's what I mean in a long roundabout way is that, you know, just straightforward and keeping it real. Because I think that in itself is just it's a dying breed these days, and there's too many fakes and too many like I don't know. So kind of feels like, you know, and I don't know, maybe that's just my take. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. But I don't know. I keep it real. I talk about like all kinds of different stuff. I don't shy away from any kind of drama or anything that's happened. I'll talk about it. I'm super open as a book. So you know, I like being like that, and I think this channel has the possibilities of some good growth if I can just really get some opportunities to do what I would like to do, let's say. So that's going to involve getting some guests for one, two, getting some better equipment, three, making more money at work so that I can afford to take more time off to invest in quality fishing trips instead of numbers, instead of going a bunch on some random trips, planning out really good trips to go to Clear Lake, to go to Berryessa, to go to LBC Success, to go to New Maloney's every once in a while, to go to the Delta, and then heck, save up some money, take the GoPro and break a pole down with a small tackle bag and put it in your backpack and hop on a plane for a couple of days and go to Florida, or do the same thing and go to Texas, right? Rent a motel and go fish from the shore at the lake, right? pay to get in, drive, get a rent a car, whatever. Man, I'll make it happen. That I got some cool goals down the road, but we'll see how it goes. The kids are all getting old enough in the next few years. They're gonna start moving out too, so I have so much more time. I'm not gonna know what to do with. So that's why I'm going to keep this channel and just keep grinding and keep at it. And I appreciate every single one of you guys and gals that watch. That's why I always keep it real. I tell you where I'm fishing, what I'm fishing with, how I'm fishing. And even if I'm not the best guy in the world, if I stumble on a 10-pounder, I tell you, this is right where I caught it. So you guys can at least understand that. Usually if there's a 10-pounder caught, it's not that spot, there was a 10-pounder there for a reason. So that means that spot is always worth checking in. Doesn't mean it's ever going to have a 10-pounder again. It may have a 3 or a 4 or a 5. There was a reason why a 10-pounder decided it was going to feed at that particular spot at that water level at that time. And so you mark it. And I give those away like free, right? And I tell people and I try to help. And again, I don't know it all. I don't know nothing like that. So it's a very humble way I try to do it, though, And I appreciate everybody. Like you guys, a lot of you guys who watch me have been with me for a very long time. And to the new viewers, welcome and thank you for joining the channel. That's what, the network of people that we have here is just tremendous. It's awesome. So I'm excited to see what the next 5 years hold. What can we do here? What can we do? I would love to see 10 years down the road this channel be as big as Milliken or let's say Tactical Bassin, and instead of getting rich and then buying homes and property in other states and all that, do that too, but take a small chunk of that investment and give it back to the people that helped build that, and give like a bass boat away or something. Man, that'd be awesome. That'd be like my dream. Like I'd want to be like the Mr. Beast of bass fishing, but like don't want to be known as Mr. Giveaway and just always giving shit away. But I like helping out and giving to the community. But what I mean is like just that kind of level of enthusiasm, that kind of level of giveaway type stuff. If I ever did hit it big where I like literally was able to pay in bills and investments and grow and actually pocket and do good, because some YouTubers made a lot of money, especially live streaming. You got super chats, you got merchandise, you got memberships. If you really grow a good channel and you take care of your customers, which is you, the people, and you really interact with them, you really give them good, you're there consistently, which I've been a little bad on this last summer because of work. But you hit key spots and you entertain them, you educate, you share, right? You put smiles on faces. And then even for the people who aren't watching and listening, if the audio is clean, if the words that you are saying are decipherable and understandable, and if the speed at which you speak, the tone of your voice, if it is likable, you'll do good, right? I mean, it's just sticking with it, because there's a lot of good channels out there. And as far as fishing wise, I don't know any other YouTube fishing channel that live streams like this, that does fishing videos, tournaments, that does like whiteboard tips and tricks, Google map breakdowns, live streams, drinks, cusses, like hangs out, chill, down to earth, and yet and gives everything away, like all the stuff. So hopefully, I would love for this channel to grow and continue that reputation, to continue that. And then you guys, grow with us, right? So thank you guys. That's a long-winded rant, but keep it on, right? Ray, nice to see you on. Yo, Gerbs, what's up? Jeremy, nice to see you on. Tactical Bassin, been out of 11 years or longer. Freaking Googans, each one got 1 million and over, and they're young. So Googans, see, that's marketing. And I've got the, like, how would you say, the intelligence, but the problem is anything in life, if you've ever heard the saying, sorry, my belt's too tight. I'm going to take this fart knocker off. I've been working all day hard. I don't need to worry about my pants falling around my ankles anymore. I need to worry about this thing cutting off my damn circulation. Whew, yeah. All right. So anyways, it's about marketing, right? And it's about putting your all into your company and marketing it correctly. What Tactical Bassin is marketing to is they're marketing to the mid and the high level angler. They're marketing to tournament bass anglers, and they heavily marketed to the Northern California Clear Lake uh, area for so long before they moved to Tennessee. Great channel, two awesome dudes. Do a lot of fishing, caught a lot of big fish. Milliken fishing, big fish, real outspoken guy. Kind of seems funny. I don't know nothing about him. Some of his videos, I'm like, it kind of seems a little crash. Some of them, I'm like, yeah, those are awesome. But I'm the same way. I'm kind of crashed too. So when taken out of context, you never know. But like dudes like the Guggen, they're going after the youth. They're going after the beginning fishermen, the high schooler, their own youth. They're going after the kid anglers. They're going after the college anglers, and then they're sucking in the professionals and the higher and the middle ups because of their popularity and because of their rise. And Guggen comes from, if I remember correctly, from the original guys come from like the Lake Fork dude and his squad of homies, which he basically built up, if I remember correctly. And I mean, look at these guys too. It's easy. I think it's a lot easier to build a successful YouTube channel if you're young, and if you live with mom or dad, or you have someone paying the bills, and you have a big lifted truck and $100,000 or $60,000 bass boat, and you come from a family money, you can afford the toys, you can afford the electronics, and you're not working every day to feed like a family of five type thing. There's a big difference between that 18-year-older who decides to legitly put his, and let's say he's an intelligent little 18-year-old dude, decides to put all of his money, time, and effort into building a fishing um, uh, empire. He's going to be very successful if he's driven, motivated, and even halfway intelligent, if he has all those resources and time. While someone who may be talented and motivated but lacks the resources and time, doesn't have the time to build a quality empire or to put into trying to create one, so you got to build it a little block at a time. And this guy's got his empire halfway built before you even got a few bricks laid, because as an older guy with the kids, you got kids, you got bills, you got work, you got life. So to start a YouTube channel as a full grown adult like this, it's not easy. So what you do is it's like a side hustle, right? It's like a side thing. And I'm not really I make like 50 to $100 a month, depending. So it's not like it's anything like that, but the idea is long-term investment, long-term thinking, and building a good, like I have a dream and a goal, building a good community of like the average everyday Joe fisherman. I like to suck in some pros and some high-level fishermen that are down-to-earth, cool dudes. The Karens and ninny know-it-alls can just, this channel ain't for you, because nobody knows it all. I don't know it all, but this just isn't the vibe and the place for someone who's an asshole in bass fishing, and who like will start fights over shit and just get all loud and crash, right? As far as like, like just a jerk bass fisherman. We all know them, call them the bass holes, the dudes at the dock that are just ultra impatient, mean, just no sportsmanship. We don't need that kind of crap on this channel. And then there's also what to be said is, to be that elite of a bass fisherman, you like breathe, eat, and sleep fishing, and you may like, I mean, someone like that, right, could look down easily on the channel like this, and right, and so it's like, I don't concern myself too much with trying to be. I'm not trying to be a bass pro. What I'm trying to do is because I love fishing so much, and I think that it's like such a great thing. I'm trying to reach the average everyday fisherman and the kid fisherman, like the pro that's down to earth. So I'm trying for that kind of Guggen. But the problem has been, for a, probably not a good idea to be always drinking stuff like that on the channel. That's for one. I'll be honest about it. Two is going to be, cursing. Make sure you don't do that. 3 is going to be consistency. 4, which is probably most important, is quality. So where I lack that is I don't have the money for a nice high-end camera. I don't have a nice high-end microphone. I don't have a nice high-end computer. So the processing speeds, power, sound, all that isn't quite as clean. So if someone does click on my video and the audio and they're listening in their car, they're listening on their cell phone in earphones or whatever, or just whatever, and the audio just is just kind of almost grating or just not quite clear or clean, it can almost be annoying to listen to, right? And so you click off it and you move on to the next thing. So there's a lot of factors that I would like to overcome to grow the channel. Like I said, getting guests is one of them. Branching out, doing some different things, cleaning up the act a little bit would probably be one of them. Getting better equipment, and that all comes with financial stability. So my heating and air conditioning business, that all takes precedent. Got to work hard, make my money, and then in the meantime, now I play hard. This is my play. I enjoy doing fishing, the fishing community, stuff like this. So I'm excited. I think that if I just stick it out, even if I hit slows, even if I go down a little bit, if things don't grow at what I'm thinking or the speed at which, I think eventually 5 or 10 years later, even if I'm not Guggen or Tactical Bassin, to even be Greg Blanchard or some of these other guys and be 80 to 100,000, 150,000 subs would just be really awesome, and that would be nice secondary stream of income, and it would be worth really putting some effort into. And then once there, maybe then we can grow it to 5, maybe then there, because who says I have to turn it off in 10 years? If YouTube's still around, I'd keep the channel until I die, right? So it would be interesting to see what 40 years of fishing look like on YouTube, especially with these live streams with the chat and then all that crazy stuff. It'd be cool. You could go back and see someone's entire lifespan, or the last half of it anyways. Man, I went on a rant, dude. Sorry guys. Oh, I didn't have nothing. I knew exactly what I'm gonna do tomorrow for fishing. I'm excited. I'm kind of all pumped up to go, but I haven't been fishing, so I just share old tips and tricks. But really, when I started talking earlier with James David at the New York trip, and how I kept him awake throughout the whole trip so he could get to New York safely, that just reminded me about the fact that this is a cool community, and you know we don't always have to talk fishing. I mean, we do, but we don't. You know what I mean? So you guys are a great little community to hang out with. Where am I launching? So tomorrow I'm basically going to go pick up my buddy Virgil in Brentwood. So near us will be Holland's Track, Frank's Track, and areas like that. But I could drive down from there to one of the other ones and go to a different area. Um, I'd honestly rather fish like the South Delta right now. I would rather be near the rivers and the incoming water, because there's a lot of salt water pushing in through the ocean right now because the Delta is not getting a lot of water. The rivers, with the drought that we've been in right now, the rivers are at lower stages than usual. So their rivers are flowing into the Delta, but they're not dumping like they used to. So when the tide goes in and out, there's more salt water pushing its way further and further in. So I would think that one of the best spots to fish would probably be near river mouths and in those areas where there's deeper water nearby, uh, stuff like that. So I might launch out of Lads if we can drive far enough or down there, but I have a feeling I'm just going to launch out of Holland's or Frank's Track, and I'll probably fish Little Frank's area, and then I'll probably head up towards the main channel and maybe smash out of the main channel and then up into some of the other sloughs up around there, and take off away from Frank's. Because Frank's is a big old flat, shallow spawning ground, so I don't want to be anywhere near Frank's. I want to be in deeper, cooler water with more current moving through it. Um, I want something a little deeper than Frank's for sure, or at least with more deeper water near it. Frank's isn't bad, but I would be fishing like somewhere near the main channel or either a river system, basically, so that there's more fresh water moving and stuff, and then probably going to have cooler temperatures too. Yeah, see, I'm not trying to mess with Frank's. And I haven't been in months, and I already know this time of year I ain't messing with that crap. So you can throw frogs in top water, and there'll be fish there, but the quality fish shouldn't be there. They'll be where there's fresh water and bigger bait fish to eat. They'll be running where the striper are at, basically. In the summertime, a lot of the time, too, at the Delta, I'll catch bass 30 feet deep. So I'll catch them in the main. I'll use drop shot, shaky head, Ned rig, and jigs and stuff. And I'll fish into 25 to 35 feet deep and catch them. Another good key depth zone to fish is 12 to 20 at the Delta and bottom bounce it, because then it's all rock and dirt down there. It's like fishing a lake, but kind of sooty some in a lot of places. But you get smashed if you're fishing in the right area in the right water. Not every place where there's deep water is going to be like that. But in the summertime, a lot of the time we have a lot of success fishing right up tight to poles and like pilings and stuff. And we would go downtown. Like for example, say you're launching from Lads, we would head downtown towards those big ships where they park. And then if the ships aren't there, or even if they are, in the back area, there's this big curve that goes like this, and it's full of riprap. And it gets about 30 feet deep out there. And you go where the riprap meets the bottom, and tucked up against that, there'll be a ton of fish, and you just bottom bounce them. And you got to fish real slow. You got to fish like you're winter fishing, and they'll just be a little don't. And you pull up 3 to 5 pound bass. I kid you not. If I didn't see it done and do it myself, I wouldn't believe it or know it. But while everyone else could be out punching, running, and gunning, crankbaiting top water, I swear to God, and I'm gonna give it up to the guy that taught me this, but Jeremy Chaffel, Bass Chaffel, one of my best friend, pretty much, took us. When he was in the boat and he was the captain, I had to just shut up and be in the back. When I was in his little raft or his tin can, I went with him a few times, and he'd do that. And I ain't no fool. I ain't no sucker. I learned. I see someone doing something, I'm like, well, shit, me, I'm gonna do that too. And I fished deep at McClure, Pedro. I love catching them out of 30 to 50. I don't mind it one bit. So when I actually did it at the Delta, it was something unique. When you're used to fishing in 0 to, let's say, 10 feet of water, to actually fish 30 feet deep at the Delta and smack the shit out of them is fun. And that's where we get them a lot in the summer, real deep, out in the middle, where you think the striper would be near poles and shit. So not out in the middle, like out in the middle, but like out in 30, 40 feet of water next to all those big, where the big ships would dock up to those poles, but not right there around where it does a big bow right there. And then there's the next spot, there's a big point, a big rocky point. We'd pull out there and fish 18 to like 20 something and just murk them. The bass would be in like the 20 plus foot range. So we kill them at the Delta deep fishing. I'll probably do a video on that to show people that at the California Delta, people are usually running and gunning looking for active fish with things like chatterbaits, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, swim baits, stuff like that, top water, or they're frog fishing or punching. You rarely will ever see a bass angler fishing 30 feet deep at the Delta. And I guarantee you that, like, based on the 2 times I've already only done it like 2 or 3 times, actually. I want to say like 2 or 3. And almost every time it's worked out, and we caught probably easy 15 pounds of bass just doing that. And then we could have ran and did whatever. While we go back and people tell us they struggled to catch anything on those blazing hot, dead 100-degree days at the Delta, and people don't get a bite, a couple blow ups on some top water. Then there are days like that where you catch 100 fish. What the hell? I don't know. But there's those dog days of summer where it's real brutal tough, and I found uh, a few times in my life, like I said, like I've only really done it like I think successfully like 3 times, but I've really only tried it like 3 times. 2 times with my buddy, and once on my own, and every single time caught fish, and every single time same thing. Hot days of summer and fishing really deep next to any kind of pilings, shade, and structure at the delta. Not out in the open anywhere land. We catch a couple fish doing that, but we actually did really good. And so that's one tip I think a lot of people sleep on at the delta. Yeah, I'm gonna be excited to go. So tomorrow I'm probably going to launch out of not Lads, out of Holland or Franks, and we'll probably fish towards Little Franks, head out towards the main, and then head down South Delta, head towards the South Delta. It just depends. I also don't want to do a too big of a run, in case something happens, emergency. I want to be, you know, got to do a show and tell about that. Yeah, I'm gonna. If you're talking about from the Delta, yeah, I might go live from the Delta for sure, but I'm gonna record it too. So I'm gonna do a bunch of. I'll probably make like 3 or 4 videos while I'm out, since I haven't done an actual fishing video in like 2 or 3 weeks or more. So I'm going to like what I'm gonna do is while I'm out there, I'm probably gonna shoot a couple different videos, like a 10 or 20 minute video on some crankbaits on the Delta, 10 or 20 minute video on some top water, 10 or 20 minute video on how I bottom bounce or like with Cinco fish it, 10 or 20 maybe on the jig, and then the rest will be maybe I'll just be recording all day, having fun and smashing around, and then just random fishing. And then if we stop for any food or drinks or anything type stuff, we'll catch all that. And then will obviously be the tomorrow's trip video, but then I'll try to have 2 to 4 educational videos that will get released like every 2 or 3 days, so that for the next like 2 weeks I'll have some videos coming out, but they'll all be recorded at that one date. And then because then the next time I get out, I don't like usually doing that. Usually for me, one trip, one video, but that's kind of dumb because there's so much to talk about fishing. So if I get out on the water and I'm trying to make these YouTube videos, instead of just getting out and fish hard, make a one video about all day fishing, why not actually do like I'm doing right here? Like, okay, sit down and break down and explain this technique or that technique, and then shoot 10 or 20 minutes of actual footage doing that technique and then catching some fish. So throughout the video, maybe you only see 3 fish get caught, but there were all 3 fish on the crankbait. They discuss the crankbait, show some tips and tricks and yada yada, and then that's a video. And then maybe I caught 3 or 4 fish on a Texas rig Cinco or a Texas rig big old 10-inch curly worm. Talk about hook size, line type, show the fish, break it down, boom, another 10, 20-minute video, right? Edit it down. And then same thing, right? How to work crankbaits or whatever. And then there's the average whole day trip, right? So breaking it down. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do with most of my fishing trips is utilize them and make good use of them. And then also what I can do is if I go on a couple trips, right? I'll release those trip videos, but then what I'll do is the educational ones, I'll stagger them. So instead of releasing 3 Delta videos and then 3 lake videos and then 3 more lake videos and then 3 Delta videos, I might be a Delta video and then a lake video and then a Delta video and then a lake, and then a river video or whatever have you. Kind of spread the stuff out. Uh-oh. Text from the wife. Sorry, guys and gals. Technical difficulties. Okay, good. All right. Hey, Mad Bess. I'm going to be at the Delta tomorrow, so I'm excited. But yeah, I'm gonna probably I'll probably do a live stream from the Delta too for an hour or so, maybe a couple hours, drag you guys along. I need to get like a little phone tripod set up and mount it, like, or put couple spots on the boat where I can set something up, whatever have you, so that I can record like live streaming and then get good angles. To Brentwood to pick up Virgil. So me and Virgil will be fishing, and we'll probably be launching out of either Holland or Frank's track, I'm assuming, because he lives right near or close to like Bethel Island and all that stuff. So like Sugar Barge, Holland, Frank's, whatever, that general area. So I don't know if we'll be Frank's or Holland. Probably be Frank's track, Russo's, because then we could go to Russo's and then head towards Little Frank's and deeper water that way, or shoot across and fish towards the back of Frank's where there's some other inlets there too, a couple of the different inlets. So there's a couple areas I'd fish right now around Frank's, but not in Frank's at all. And I don't feel comfortable smashing across Frank's. There's just too many places you can ground out or hit shit. So I'll go the long way around. I learned my lesson. I smashed into Little Frank's track going like 40 miles an hour with Virgil. Dead stop. And then one time I was driving on the Main in downtown Stockton, and I was going about 45 miles an hour right where the big boats were. And then all of a sudden my boat just stopped. And I'm like, what the hell? And then my boat just drifted forward. The motor didn't stop. I turned it off though and lifted it up. The blades weren't really messed up. Nothing was really messed up. And then as I'm inspecting it, this sea lion pops up. And he's like, oh, he's like looking at his back or himself. And then he's like looking at me and he's like bitching and moaning. And he's like hella mad. And I'm like, oh, I just messed that dude up. I ran his ass over good. I'm sure gave him a good cut or two or chopped him up pretty good. So he got hit by the motor pretty hard because the motor, I definitely heard it go whoa, like it, it was under load and it stopped. But because it was like flesh or something, the motor went through it and didn't break the blades, thank God, or damage the prop. It was crazy. But it straight up stopped my boat from going like 45 down to like 10 miles an hour instantly on a dime. That was the craziest thing I've ever had happen. Well, no, the dude flipping and all that probably, but that was like one of the craziest things at the Delta, hitting the sea lion out in the middle like that. Little bastards. That's what they get eating all our striper and bass, though. They don't belong in there. They belong out in the ocean, They come in our fresh waters and just screw things up. It's like I hate those bastards. When I hear them, I'm just like, you damn fish eaters, get out of here. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching Common Sense Fishing. I'm about to call it a night, so I've been on early since about 5 o'clock, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off. I will be back Wednesday. I may be on actually tomorrow for a special live stream from the California Delta. And look for some great videos to be coming soon. So I will get my GoPros ready, and we're going to shoot some great tips and trick videos out there. We'll catch you guys up. And even though I have not been fishing in like a month or so or around that, I'm sure I'm going to go out there and have a great time. So I'm excited. I'm pumped up. Even if fishing's tough, I'm going to figure something out. I don't care if I pull one dink out. I'm going fishing. I'm going to pull a fish out, and I'm going to have a video for you guys. Hopefully it'll be a lot better than that, but I'm excited to get out. So win, lose, or draw, we'll record everything, and we'll share that with you. So thanks for watching and supporting the channel. As always, you guys have a good night, guys and gals, and we'll see you guys on the next one Wednesday. Look for me between 5 and 7 p.m. Usually I'm trying to get like dialed into about 6 o'clock again where I used to be. But I wanted to get this one out of the way early because I got a lot of stuff that I got to take care of. So anyways, thanks you. Have a good night, and we'll see you guys on the next one.